ABC finally gets the chance to show the world that we can still perform out here. And is that pure adventure making top 16? Don't make it 30% of you guys have not smashed the living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so we can climb up, you guessed it, the 100K ladder. The first deck list, our breakdown here. We're too far ahead of ourselves here. Breakdown for this is pretty straightforward, honestly, here. We had two Flaunderies being the dominating force out of this top cut, which I'm not really surprised about that. You know, you have interchangeability between like Sword Soul, Branded, and then you have Flunder kind of bringing it up on the rear end here. So depending on how like developed the rest of the meta game is around this event, kind of showcases how that will develop. We also had, in terms of Rogue here, we had one Thurion ABC deck. Now, I can tell you that a lot of people are not prepared for what Thurion ABC brings to the table. I mean, a lot of people are still adjusting to the fact that Regulux is an Omni-Negate, and they haven't really figured out how to play around the developments of this deck just yet. So those are very important notes to kind of mention for that here. We also had Thurion Punk, and Thurion Punk is gaining a lot of steam right now. Like, between that and the Sun Avalon builds, you're seeing like these huge contenders here for dominance in terms of the developments for these. So I think that that's all pretty interesting. Just seeing how the interchangeability of these two are going. Like, Thurion's brought a lot to the table for the game. Honestly, a lot more than I thought that they would here. We also had one Dragon Link in top cut. Dragon Link has been struggling a little bit to get its foot back off of the ground here. So continuing to see that, hey, this deck is still performing and doing well. Very good. We also had one Invoked Shaddoll Dogmatica as well for this event, which, you know what? I'm actually happy to see that that deck is performing as well. The fact that anytime you can see Shaddoll Dogmatica getting its foot in the door for a top cut with Winda is good. We also had one Eldritch and then one Despia deck as well. I mean, Zombie Eldritch is what the note had for this event, so kind of keep an eye on that if you get the chance to see the deck list, because as of right now, we don't have that data. Well, let's dig on into those deck lists now, shall we? Our event is none other than this very, very, very powerful. Yes, we are playing Dark Ruler No Mores on our Flunder deck. Yes, we are playing Extravs in our deck as well. This does act as the more budgetary option for this. So full disclaimer here before you're like, oh my god, like, what are we doing? Yes, you are playing Extrav and budget reasons here. Board breakers right here, all present and accounted for. We are not playing Change of Heart, but we are playing the Flaunderies and the Unexplored Winds here so that you can capitalize and do what you need to do. I do like the fact that Unexplored Winds is starting to see play as a 2-of, whether or not there are very few builds that have mained both, but they've been main and sided, and you are seeing Mystic Minds. I have seen a lot of Mystic Mind in the main decks for birds to kind of start things off here, but I do see that we are shifting down. Also, triple Downer down here, just so you can make that one of Zeus a little bit more powerful. I don't really know how I feel about that. That's actually kind of cute, but all right, that's your first place Flounder list. Now your ABC list here, this is what made its way into second place here, showing the format that, hey, Regulux is a good guy, all right? So the fact that we have all of the pieces of the puzzles here so that we can do our job, check, 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 check. All right, Forbidden Droplets for board breaking, also good. We have the Thurion's Disc Coliseum to search for the big guy here. All of the standard stuff that you really would expect to see present in this combo variant is good. I also not sure how I feel about like the reduction of the Rite of Armesias in this build. I do understand that this does basically make things a lot easier, you know, basically cutting down on consistency, because you do have the Enchantresses to get to this. This also baits an Ash, which really helps you out so you can basically climb. If not, you get to set up the free Griffin Rider, discard a piece, and then start doing what you want to do. Also, once again, let's not forget the fact that this just brings back anything, and then ununionize go, because that's how it goes. So that's your top list. Next up is our Invoked Good Stuff deck here. So what are we doing here, ladies and gentlemen? This is all the good stuff in the world here. Basically, still going to do the exact same thing you've been doing with Invoked for how long at this point in time? You poop out big old Macabre down here. Look, an Omni-Negate. But this build is also relying on Guardian Chimeras. I have not seen interesting build that plays the Edgem chain so you can do super poly shenanigans with the patchwork here to kind of capitalize and blow the opponent out a little bit harder. Actually, I think this is the first time that we've seen the board breaking options built into this as well. So overall, I think that this is pretty interesting. I'll give it up. I didn't expect to see any like innovations in Invoke Dogmatica shit all anytime soon, but the fact that they've adapted the patchwork engine here so that they can, you know, get to the board breaking options through this while still capitalizing on this just makes your offensive power like 8 times more deadly at the end of the day. Not too bad here. Next up here is another Flaunder list. Ah, look at that. Who needs extra when you can play Prosperity? It's honestly going to come down to blindness and like designing the extra deck. Obviously in the other build, you're going to have to bulk down a little bit harder on the extra deck options. But here, since we are playing Prosperity versus the extra, you can play your one-ofs and then get things off the ground a little bit easier. We are only playing the one copy of the Unexplored Winds. Dimensional Fissure is present here, which is kind of cool, actually. I like that. We've seen this as a random tech choice for a little while, but it just kind of drops off the face of the planet every blue moon. Even though it's got its applications for developments, I don't know. A lot of people I just choose not to play it. Also, I think 2 Book of Moon has become the norm. And then there's the Harpy Harpist, which is also pretty much moved in here and become a mainstay. I mean, hey, bounce ability options during the opponent's turn with this is really good, all right? Having a sub-bounce is absolutely amazing, all right? I'll take that. So next up here in our top cut is our Thurian Punk list here. So basically, you're going to use your Punk engine to do all your little cute synchro plays. You are getting the chance to use a Legal Knight to kind of stomp out the opponent. And I see that we are doing the little Basil Rose Shoot play here with the Rose Dragons. I feel like this is basically, we took the core of Based and we were like, oh no, I miss you. We're pulling the best parts out of what remains of Based here, and we are adapting it back into a deck like this. And seeing 50 cards for this is fine. I'm glad to see that Foom is finally making, you know, some sort of play here. And then, of course, a Bullseye here. So, yes, you do get to extend out into the lesser-known Thurions to kind of get love from these monsters. Also, Argeo system, getting the chance to actually see play a little bit better as well. And we're also playing only one Thurion charge, which is our discard draw 2 for the deck, but do not underestimate this card. I also got to give a shout out to Psychic End Punisher for being a massive powerhouse. Next up here is Branded Despia, and once again here, you've got like 2 builds that are really going around right now for this. Either you're playing, you know, the Allure of Darkness Turbo with the McCourier, which you're seeing here, or you're basically cutting the Allure of Darkness and you're cutting back on your McCouriers, or you're like exploring the option of Gold Sarcophagus for this deck. Whichever path that you choose to go down for this should work out in your favor. And I think that's the one thing I'm really liking about Despia right now is no matter how you choose to build your hodgepodge toolbox, like in terms of variants and things like that, it still is getting off the ground in terms of gameplay. And that's what you really want to see at this point in time, is just the little innovations and things that can bring it home. Also, shout out here to only 2 crossout designators in the side deck. It's a lot more crossout than I've really seen at this point in time, which once again goes to show that maybe certain developments and things are really kind of starting to pull this together. So that is the wrap up here on your top 8 deck list. Now, there's one other list that kind of caught my attention from this. It was a Sky Striker list, but it had Verte in it, which was not for this event, which told me that it was for a previous event, so there's that. But there was a Pure Adventure deck here. Now, I am not an expert on Pure Adventure, but this list caught my attention because I've always wanted to build a Pure Adventure deck. I love the concept behind the Brave token, which is essentially you're calling a JRPG character to fight for you and defend your honor. Oh my god. You're manifesting yourself into an isekai is the way I've always looked at this. And you get to use like your little toolbox of friends here to kind of help you out. And there are in-house equips here, which we'll talk about here in a sec. So we are playing the 1 Magic Core Warrior of the Relics, so cannot attack unless you control an adventure tokens. That's 2,300 attack points, by the way. Alright, and then you can only use each of the effects once per turn. If you control an adventure token, special summon it. At the end of the battle phase, if you're a monster with adventure token, a battle, you can set a trap card that mentions adventure token from your deck, which we don't play, but 2,300 body. Our equip cards. Monsters you control equipped with this Starlit Papillion are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, and once per turn, when your adventure token monster destroys a monster by battle, you get to draw a card. So extra resources. Once per turn during the main phase, if the previous effect was activated, you can add a field spell that that mentions an adventure token from your deck to your hand, which we don't play any more of those. And then we have the Starlit Papillion here. Equip bowling to a monster you control. You can only control one Starlit Papillion. Monster opponent controls will lose 500 attack for each monster you control, which is actually a pretty good Floodgate power down. If a card sends the graveyard, target an adventure token you control, and then re-equip this to it. So you get a pretty big power down on the opponent here, which lets you set up. And then, you know, to mention here, we're just basically going second deck with board breaking powers through Amano Iwado, and you just board break through these and you just recover off of like your Griffin Rider and things. It's actually a very interesting concept nonetheless. So what do you guys think about this deck? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you're saying. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later on the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.